a new Sisters Warsuit, the coming of the Heavy Intercessors and Flayed Ones, and plenty of other bits and bobs for other systems in Games Workshop's big Death and Decay preview. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're just taking a quick look through all the reveals from Games Workshop's latest preview. For me, the highlight is this new Sisters Warmech, though we've also got Heavy Intercessors and Flayed Ones in their own Kill Team box, an enormous Warmaster Titan for Adeptus Titanicus, a new Demigod of the Wind for the Lumineth in Age of Sigmar, a Crimson Court of Vampires from Warhammer Underworlds, and an interesting new Warhammer Quest box game, kind of similar in style to Blackstone Fortress and Silver Tower. This one set in the cursed city of Ulfenkarn. We'll go through all of them one by one, starting with that new Sisters model. So here we have the Paragon Warsuit for Sisters of Battle. I must say, quite an unusual new release for the Sisters of Battle, not really something I was massively expecting for them, and in all honesty it's got quite a lot of similarities with other factions, in particular some similarities to the Grey Knights Nemesis Dread Knight and Imperial Knights Armiger Warglaves. I will say that I think they've learned some lessons in the Dread Knight. It doesn't look quite as awkward as the Terminator strapped to the front of that, though I can still see it dividing opinion somewhat, being one of the first Sisters of Battle models that wasn't basically a resculpt of something that had gone before it. We have one of those rumour engine pictures over the Christmas period solved as well. I'd originally thought it was a bionic leg for a Sisters of Battle miniature to start with, or maybe an Inquisitor. Turns out it was on a much bigger scale altogether, so there's an explanation for that. The kit seems like it's actually got quite a fair few options on it. There's multiple head options, including helmeted and non-helmeted variants. Personally, I think the helmeted one just looks a lot more convincing than that one with the bare head in the previous picture. We seem to have a choice of different combat weapons, either a massive broadsword or a mace, and then in the other arm we have all the most common weapons for the Sisters of Battle, the Heavy Bolter, Heavy Flamer or Multi-Melter. Unless points costs are adjusted at all, I see that Multi-Melter being very popular. For me, it's a slightly interesting addition to the Sisters lineup, as I feel like for Battlefield role, this thing might have a lot of similarities with both those Mortifiers and Penitent engines. They're also big stompy Warmechs with a somewhat exposed pilot, with a lot of close combat damage, and firing heavy bolters or heavy flamers towards the enemy. I guess these warsuits might be a bit more heavily armoured compared with them, and from the aesthetic point of view it's kind of nice to have an option that's actually crewed by a warrior who's actually trying to take down the foe, as opposed to one that's just having its life drained by a soul-sucking engine. We'll have to see how the stats shake out. It'll be interesting if you might potentially be able to run both of them in one army, and maybe have a massive army of walkers. In any case, I think between this and the new Palatine model that we've seen, I think it's some fairly solid evidence that we have a Sisters of Battle Codex coming not too far away. We know the next two are Drukhari and Dark Angels, maybe sometime soon after that, somewhere around April or May. In any case, I quite like it, another very nice addition to an already very beautiful line of Sisters miniatures. Next up we have a really big Kill Team box, and it's Kill Team Pariah Nexus. Now this one's actually going to be the first way that we can get our hands on Heavy Intercessors, Flayed Ones, the Chronomancer, and this new Gravis Armoured Space Marine Captain. All of these have been teased for a long time. We've already seen the models in full a long time ago in one of their previous previews. I wasn't expecting them to be all lumped together in one kit. I thought they'd be coming out in individual boxes, and I'll be honest, it's a bit of a weird release, and I suspect some people might be a bit annoyed at this. If you wanted to add a big unit of 20 Flayed Ones to your Necron army, it's not going to be very easy to get hold of them. You'd have to buy 4 copies of this kit, and then presumably sell or trade the extra characters that you might not want. Same goes for the Heavy Intercessors. I know a few people have been planning to add a few squads of these to their army, and have been theory crafting since the Space Marine Codex came out. Again, you'd have to buy multiple copies of this kit if you wanted to add, say, a battle line of 20 Heavy Intercessors to your Space Marine force. We don't know the price of this yet. It could potentially be a really good deal, but honestly I suspect as it's bundled with quite so much Kill Team gear, including quite a lot of Necron terrain, 48 pieces apparently, that I don't suspect that this is going to be a massively economical pickup if you literally just want some of the models out of it. They have confirmed that all the models within will be the full kits that are released. I strongly suspect that the Flayed Ones and Space Marine Captain are going to be fairly monopose. I believe the Chronomancer has the option of 2 different staffs, and the Heavy Intercessors have quite a few options, different versions of their bolt rifles, and different upgrades on their heavy bolters. In the stream they did say that these kits will be available on their own later, though of course we have no idea how much later that's going to be. If I had to guess, I'd say at the very least 2 or 3 months down the line, and potentially quite a lot longer than that if we're going by the precedent of that Tech Priest Dominus and the Kellamorph when they were originally released in the Kill Team box. I guess at least it's particularly good if you do happen to play Kill Team. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other content for that there, but for people who only really want the units for 40k, it's a bit of an annoying release, I think. We have already seen the close-ups of the models before, but here are a few of them again. I must say I really quite like the look of the heavy Intercessors. They're just really imposing and have enormous bolt guns. And of course they're well established to be quite a strong unit in game. They definitely have pros and cons versus their smaller brothers. On the Necron side, those new flayed ones look deliciously creepy. Nice to have them in plastic rather than fine cast, as that's always a bit of a nightmare to work with. And I'm sure a lot of Necron players will be looking to pick up that Chronomancer, seeing as he's one of the strongest HQs in the faction right now. So that's it for the 40k releases, but there are a fair few other cool things here. For Adeptus Titanicus, we have this enormous Warmaster Titan, significantly bigger and more imposing than the Warlord Titan, and we're getting on for models that are approaching the size of Imperial Knights right now. It's pretty cool to see some of the biggest things in the background in 40k come realised in an actual model. This guy's packing an enormous couple of plasma destructors, as well as just bristling with guns from every single part of his carapace. They mentioned that he's got a knee-mounted las cannon as well, which I think is pretty funny. Alongside him there's going to be an expansion called Loyalist Legios, quite a hefty expansion for Adeptus Titanicus, giving you rules for no less than 16 Titan Legions and 12 Knight households. If there's a Loyalist one, it kind of implies that there's going to be a Traitor one at some point as well, so I'm sure Adeptus Titanicus players can look forward to that sometime down the line. In terms of price, I suspect it's going to be a fairly hefty buy. The Warlord Titan itself costs £65, so for this one I'd peg it somewhere around 70 or 80. Being a bit bigger, I suspect they'll charge a little bit more for it. Now I'm much more of a 40k person than Age of Sigmar, but it seems that the Lumineth Realm Lords have got a release. We saw some bounding, sort of kangaroo-ish riders earlier in the week, and to go with their sort of windswift aesthetic, we have Severith, Lord of the Seventh Wind, who's an interesting sort of flying elven demigod, some sort of weird horned beastie deity, who looks like he's going to be flying through the air picking off his foes with arrows. They've got another expansion in the Broken Realms series, this one's Broken Realms Techless, with new war scrolls for quite a lot of armies, including the Lumineth Realm Lords, Cities of Sigmar, Maggot Kin of Nurgle, Flesh Eater Courts, and Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Alongside that, there's also a new Daughters of Cain battle tome. I'm sure plenty of interesting new stuff for the Servants of Marathi, including some all-new endless spells. For Warhammer Underworld's Direchasm, they have a new warband called the Crimson Court. Another really nice set of miniatures here. I bet miniature designers must absolutely love being able to make these little warbands like this. It'd just give them a whole ton of creative freedom to explore some cool new ideas. Utterly creepy, and they say vampire all over them. Finally, last but not least, we have Warhammer Quest Cursed City. This is the announcement of a whole new box game, similar in style to Blackstone Fortress and Silver Tower. This one's set back in the Age of Sigmar world, in the cursed city of Ulfenkarn, where it seems that nightmarish horrors roam the street, and there's just a few heroic individuals who step up to defy them. It looks like it's going to be quite a major release, a big box set with 8 hero characters and 5 villains. Previewed here we have Jelson Darroch, who again was a model that was extensively previewed in those rumour engines over Christmas. A pretty awesome Witch Hunter model with a hammer and a rifle with an underslung stake launcher, who to be honest would make a pretty awesome Inquisitor model for Warhammer 40k. For the bad guys we have Gorslav the Gravekeeper, who's wielding a great murderous axe thing that also seems to double as a spade if he wants to bury the bodies of those he's just killed. A seriously twisted and characterful miniature, and not someone I'd want to run into in a dark graveyard. So as per normal for these previews, quite a decent amount of new miniatures, and it's nice to see something else major for Warhammer 40k with this Sisters Warsuit release. Look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments below, whether it's about that new mech, or that slightly weird Kill Team release with Space Marines vs Necrons but you have to buy them all together. If you've enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more from Auspex Tactics, feel free to subscribe. We'll certainly be keeping on top of the 40k news, as well as our more regularly scheduled 40k Tactics content. Finally, if you have been enjoying my videos and you'd like to help support the channel, I would just like to mention that I have an Element Games affiliate link, which is down in the video description below. Element Games is a discount retailer within the UK, and they sell Warhammer miniatures with a decent 10 to 20% off each model. If you were thinking about picking up anything in the near future, consider giving that link in the video description a click, and if you buy anything from them after that, a small amount goes to help support Auspex Tactics without costing you any more whatsoever. Can just be a way to help support the channel if you were thinking about buying something anyway. For people in the USA and Canada, I do also have an Amazon affiliate link that works in basically the exact same way. Click on that, buy literally anything off Amazon whatsoever, and a small amount goes to help support Auspex Tactics. A big thank you to you guys who have been using those links, it really does help out. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.